Good morning.
Good morning.
This is our second pre-record of 2 Tuesdays because Dr. Mary had something he had to be at. So we'll be back normal Thursday or Tuesday or at some point. I don't know. There's too many things going on this week for me to be totally sure when we'll be back normal. But we will be back. So we're home from Philadelphia where we attended a wedding of a dear friend's daughter. They are of Indian descent. She married a man who's just straight up American. I mean, she's American too. Let's just be clear about that. But they had a mostly Indian wedding that was incredible.
Absolutely fantastic.
Incredible. All I can say is those of us who have straight up Christian weddings have really missed the boat. There was color, joy, vibrancy, dance, so much celebration and so much beauty.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, just incredible.
The priest.
Yep. So it was a Hindi wedding.
Did a fantastic job of explaining what everything meant and what it was going on. And the idea is that if you make the audience happy, their happiness bleeds into the married couple. Yeah. So they start their marriage in a
place of happiness.
It's just spectacular.
Yeah, it was, I think, maybe the most joyful thing I have ever gone to.
That's a great way of it. It was joyful.
Yeah. I will post the video along with this so that you can see it. Do watch. It's quick. It's just the very beginning. So there's something called a barat, I think is how you pronounce that. And that is where the groom comes in on a horse, which he did. There was Kevin, the Polish-American kid, riding on a horse, and all of the saris and the beautiful, incredible wedding outfits was just a present. So it was amazing.
At some point, Kevin may have dreamed. I've never met this person before his wedding. He's an emergency room doctor. So I think at some point of his life, he probably dreamed about being an emergency room doctor, but he never thought of being married or the start of his wedding being on a horse.
I bet that's fair to say.
Yes. But it was spectacular. It was a fantastic
just wedding. A gift.
The whole day was beautiful.
Yep, it really was. We felt lucky to be there. But we're actually talking about something that I was very surprised by that happened repeatedly everywhere we went. And that was that nobody had considered non-drinkers. Now, they had soda, which is certainly a non-alcoholic drink. But we went out to eat to this beautiful little Italian restaurant.
We get this bit, though. Run by Irish people.
So it was like a perfect marriage of Dr. Mary and my Del Vecchio heritage.
And it was a fantastic Italian
It was a great restaurant. Maz said, I guess I did. I do most of the asking around all of this. Just, I don't know, maybe because I'm bossy. I don't like to use that phrase, but
I wouldn't say that.
That's kind of you. Anyway, I said to her, do you have non-alcoholic beer? And she said, I don't, but I probably should. Okay, so that was there. Then we went to the groom's dinner at a beautiful museum called the Mutter Museum. It's a science museum of scientific oddities. Incredible. Beautiful evening, beautiful location, fabulous guests.
They had a garden.
Beautiful medicinal
plant garden.
Plant garden. No non-alcoholic beer. Then we went to the wedding, which was in the morning, and there was a kind of cocktail hour after that. No non-alcoholic beer. Get back in the evening where it's that's when the dance and all of that happens. No non-alcoholic beer. So I was just very surprised. Were you?
Only when you brought it up. I kind of try not to get disappointed. I don't want to ruin an evening by saying, well, if I can't drink non-alcoholic beer, I'm an alcoholic. I'm good with not drinking alcohol, but I do like a non-alcoholic beer because it seems more grown up than walking around with a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
But the only thing that did surprise me when thinking about it is Philadelphia has a population of nearly 5.5 million, and you'd think somewhere in a town where that is full of tourism because
It's one of our cultural heritage sites.
That they would have non-alcoholic beer.
Now, we did go down to the hotel bar.
And they did have this.
And they dug out. I mean, he really had to search an O'Doul's, which, I mean, I don't fancy myself a non-alcoholic beer aficionado, but I've now been around enough of them. We've talked with enough people who don't drink. There are a number of good non-alcoholic beers. O'Doul's would not be one of them. Catch up, O'Doul's, catch up. So it was just, I was fascinated by it. It's not a criticism of the bride and groom or their parents. It's an observation of a city that apparently is just kind of behind the times. It's very rare that we go anywhere in Fargo that doesn't have non-alcoholic beer.
I mean, our last guest was he's an advocate for non-alcoholic beer, and it was interesting to get off that fantastic conversation we had as a guest to go somewhere where they had none.
Yeah, and we're pretty fine with it. I mean, nobody was like, why would you want that garbage? They also just were like, no, we don't. Like if you'd said, do you have cotton candy? I mean, non-alcoholic beer is not out of the realm of something for an open bar to have. So it was just fascinating to me, and a good reminder that not everybody is on the bandwagon of let's normalize non-alcoholic drinking. There's just an assumption that, well, everybody can have one of these 5 kinds of wine, one of these 4 kinds of beer, or a number of these mixed drinks, or a Diet Coke. There's just, I just think things need to go better. But I also wanted to post a picture for you, because this was my view sitting next to Dr. Mary at the wedding. So the top pin, do you want to explain that?
That is a Celtic. It's a kilt pin, mostly worn by Scottish people. The Irish do have a kilt, but it's just green, and the Irish kilt isn't worn as widely as Scottish tartan, because Scottish tartan actually means more than an Irish kilt. But with a real kilt, when it goes over your shoulder, that's the real one of those is about the size of your fist, but that's a pin that usually just holds your kilt together.
Yes, and then the bottom pin is what?
That is the sobriety triangle from any kind of sobriety organization like Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. So it's on the back of any of the coins or the keychain pins you get going through your stages of sobriety. So it's just a sobriety medallion.
And why do you wear that, Dr. Mary?
Because I'm quite proud of my sobriety.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to hide it. Of course, we're doing daily dose, so we didn't want to. And there's no point.
It's too late if you're trying to hide it.
No, you're right. When we started this, there's no point quietly being wonderfully happy being over 5 years sober if you don't want to shout it from the rafters. So that's why I wear that thing.
Yeah. I looked over at you, I looked down at that, and I thought, how extraordinary that I am now in this relationship with someone who not only, I know it's a little bit scary to put this in past tense, but conquered your addiction, is continuing to conquer your addiction, but that you also are so open about sharing it. And that pin is very subtle. I thought it was really interesting. We were sitting at a table with some other couples from Fargo having a nice conversation. And I guess you didn't have it on at that jacket because he asked about a different Irish pin that you often wear. But I was reflecting on it and wondering how many people in this room even recognize this pin. I mean, certainly pre you getting sober, that is nothing I would have understood or known anything about. So it is sort of like a silent small code amongst sober people. And maybe it serves to make somebody feel not so alone without everyone having to say, all right, everyone who has a drinking problem, raise your hand.
Well, actually, that's why I decided to buy it, because that's the reason. If I wore that out and someone, they could actually come and, talk.
Have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all know how scary it can be to be in a space where you feel like you don't belong. So I just was so proud of you for having that little pin on. I mean, I am repeatedly and perpetually proud of you for being sober and for doing this work. If you are new to Daily Dose, you know that, or you don't know that I conceived of this whole going very, very public idea in November of 2016, all around the idea that we would launch some big public thing February 1st, 2017. No, I'm sorry. I conceived of it in 2019. You got sober February 1st, 2017.
Yeah.
November of 2019, we went public with it February 1st of 2020 on your 3-year soberversary, and then launched Daily Dose in July of 2020. But I knew that I was asking a lot of you to go. Who knew how public? I mean, certainly we had no way of knowing how public it would eventually go. But the fact that you said yes, and that you said it so quickly, and that you've just shown up day after day after day and sat through hard conversations, many of which put you in a very poor light, is just amazing. So
yeah, it is worth it. I mean, if you think back to what Joanne, my sponsor, said to me when I started,
your counselor,
my counselor said to me is, I used to, my first handouts we used to have to work on. I said, "Geez, this stuff's hard." And she said, "Of course it is hard. Getting sober is hard. Staying sober is hard. It's going to be hard."
Yeah.
And I just never forgot that. And I thought, well, you're absolutely right. I'll stop sounding like one of my students and actually do the work. And I've been just trying to do it ever since.
I just wanted to show you this picture because if you're like me and don't know what it means, if you see one now, you know that somebody is working and maybe struggling on this journey of sobriety. And if you know someone who's struggling and you see somebody else wearing this pin, connect those people together, because what we know for certain is that addicts feel isolated and alone. Spouses of addicts are isolated and alone. Family members, colleagues, everybody is isolated and alone. So be on the lookout for that.
I mean, I bought that pin to wear to show people who know what it means that I'm there. So I can't be the only person enjoying sobriety who bought the pin as a high.
It was a $27 million pin.
No, it was like $14. So, come on. If you see one of those now, if you didn't know what it means, it's a no-brainer. It's on the back of your chip. When you pick those up, go talk to them. If they're wearing it, they want someone that they welcome.
They're happy to have
that conversation.
Yeah. And if you are somebody who owns an establishment that serves alcohol or knows someone who does, encourage them to get some non-alcoholic beer, because it's not a huge investment. They don't need 75 cases of it. Although, yeah. The last conversation we had with Alex was all about winning that
was
huge
brilliant
amount of non-alcoholic beer.
And how good for Budweiser.
Absolutely.
Sure. And they got, was it 250 bottles?
I don't know, a billion
Bud
cases.
Zero or something. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. But just keep talking about it, keep normalizing it, so that anybody who wants it for any reason, whether it's because they need it or they're just trying to make different choices, doesn't have to ask and be turned away. Because the odds are decent that if they're turned away, if someone says, "No, I don't," they'll say, "Oh, just give me a beer then." And that can start them backwards down a terrible, terrible path.
And and Alex brought out this very great point. If you randomly have, or there's a monthly drug and sobriety test, and you fancy it, you're having a pizza and you fancy the taste of a beer, have a non-alcoholic one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've brought non-alcoholic beers with me, and people have tried them and then thought this stuff tastes better than the beer I brought. I said, well, don't drink them, because that's the only thing here that I can drink.
Good on you. Go get your own.
Go get your own. But if you have enough with you, then share it with
Yeah.
people. I mean, it's a great thing to have if you're driving. Designated drivers should drink this and then go and have a real drink when they go somewhere where they don't have to drive.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is that. We'll be back on Thursday. I have no guest lined up. We may have a guest, we may not. It's all a little loosey-goosey these days. Life's busy.
It is
But
busy.
we know you understand that, and we appreciate you staying with us. Have an excellent Tuesday. We'll talk to you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.